Into the newspapers for this morning anymore.
Yes, okay. Shall I start with the Ghanaian Times this morning? On the occasion of IWWD, Safeguard Water Resources to help achieve SDGs on water sanitation for all. The UN is urging all nations. Achimota School rejects GES order to admit 2 Rastafarian students. 3 students on motorbike killed in an accident, and this one, which is absolutely devastating, father, son, 2 others electrocuted as scaffold touches power lines. On the back page of the Ghanaian Times, industry players support sanitation tax and make sign language examinable in health training institutions.
And the daily graphic for this morning says Achimota School dreadlocks brouhaha. Cut hair conform to rules. School authorities insist. And there's a photograph here that says shameful spectacle. Cattle in city center. You should see this on the front page of the daily graphic.
Wow.
And Kwewu Easter is put on hold. Graphic Aramex partner for exclusive shipments. And then the back page says illegal miners invade forest reserves in Upper West and Upper East. Oh my goodness. This is what we have. Anyway.
Wow. The Daily Guide this morning, alarm blows over fictitious court records. Opuni investigator clashes with Agongo lawyer. Court convicts Ekwiapim Hene for contempt. That's the front page of the Daily Guide. And killer husband denied bail. That story about Prince Charles Dejo. It's on page 6 if you're interested in that in the Daily Guide. On the back page, Villa won't heal. Mensah out of AFCON qualifier, and Newcastle boss under pressure. Media is calling for his head.
Oh, let's get to the Chronicle. And Psalm 60 verse 11 says, give us help from trouble, for the help of man is useless. Please beckon Burkina to unravel $209,000 gold heists. That's on the front page of the Chronicle. And commotion in Kwewu South Assembly by the disappearance of 30,000 cities. NADMO director fires a shot across the bows. And the back page, okay, nothing at the back page really.
Okay, well, the Daily Statesman, CD appreciates 0.6% to the dollar. Mahama is not 2024 choice of Ghanaians, another survey shows. And Dr. Nyako is urging, let's have faith in the Akufo-Addo government. That's it for the Daily Statesman.
And the New Crusading Guys, Achimota School rejects GES directive to admit Rastafarians. Tema Port exceeds 2020 cargo targets despite COVID-19 disruptions. Invest in young entrepreneurs, Mensah tells investors. And the Ekwiapim chief dragged to court for contempt. Scholar credits 7 great princes for greatness.
Okay, my last paper this morning is the Business and Financial Times. Heightened risk to fiscal slippage, inflation hold policy rate again, presidency pay freeze imminent, unilateral border closures pose significant risk to FDIs. That's according to Yofi Grant. And on the back page, shippers sensitized on benefits of insuring cargo locally in Cape Coast. And STC maintains lead in safety of passengers. And this year, Winston, there have been so many road accidents. I was speaking to a couple of friends who have to go to Kumasi and Tamale quite often by road, and you hear the fear and apprehension every time they have to get on a bus and make that journey, and just praying for traveling mercies and hoping that they make it and come back.
Exactly, because if you look at the fact that from January to February we've lost 517 lives to road accidents. And within that period, we lost about 300 persons to COVID-19. So road accidents are killing more Ghanaians than COVID-19.
Yeah.
What that should tell us is that the attention dedicated to COVID-19, we do same and even more to road accidents. Just this morning while driving to work anymore, look, I saw a truck parked on the Legon stretch. It had no reflectors, no triangle. So just and that side,
it was dark, wasn't it?
And it was dark too. So just imagine, okay, just driving into this and what could happen to you. These are some of the challenges we face. But the finder finally says Tema Port exceeds cargo and container traffic by 5.9%. Assets of banks hit 152 billion, while deposits rise to 104 billion. Bank of Ghana. and about 50% of SH1 students yet to register, according to SHS heads. Bagbing explains delay in appointing Parliamentary Service Board. Galamsey reverses water quality gains from 57.8% in 2019 to 56.6% in 2020. Government injects $1 billion into 6 rural water projects. And Arocha Ghana reiterates Ghana's lost forest restoration plan. Opuni trial, our investigations was not on farmer compliant investigator. All right, so let's get to our online news review brought to us by Zenith Bank in your best interest and GOIL Good Energy.
Well, going cashless has never been this convenient and exciting. The GOIL e-payment system is now compatible with GH Link, the national payment platform. Now you can use your GH Link card on GOIL POS machines to purchase fuel. GH Link cards offer additional payment options for fuel purchases at GOIL stations in addition to the Go card. Every fuel purchase is recorded automatically on your monthly bank statement, and it helps you to keep track and manage your expenses. So go ahead and use your GH Link card to buy fuel and all lubricants from any of GOIL's over 400 stations across Ghana. Go cashless and protect yourself. Stick to all COVID-19 protocols in these times. GOIL, Good Energy, GOIL, Yenaraya Dia.
So, setting up a routine of brushing properly with a fluoride toothpaste day and night works wonders in boosting your oral health. And for this great routine to stick, here's what you're advised to do. Brushing every day with your family does the trick. Now, that is why your favorite oral care brand, Pepsodent, has launched the Brush With Me campaign to remind parents of their joyful responsibility in taking care of the oral health of their families by brushing better together. Take action today because good oral hygiene starts with you. Visit a dentist regularly, brush properly day and night, and invite your family to brush with you. That's right, brushing is better together, and twice a day is the way to go. So, invite your family to brush with you.
Okay, well, let's go straight to our online news review, starting with myjoyonline.com. Banner headline, GES backtracks on its directive for Achimota School to admit students with dreadlocks. And that's according to the Rastafari Council. I don't want to see my disrespectful son. That's Asuma Banda. That story's been trending since the weekend. Court refuses businessman accused of killing his wife bail. And industry players mount pressure on government to investigate gold smuggling syndicate in Joy News Expose. And we brought you that yesterday. Busted. Was on Joy News and, of course, on the Super Morning Show. Let's move to citynewsroom.com. Okay, GES backtracked on directive for dreadlock students to be admitted, according to a lawyer. Achimota School rejects GES directive to admit Rastafarians. That's really the trending story for this morning, also on social media. If you go to Facebook especially, it will be chaotic to accommodate practice of all beliefs in schools. That's according to Kabonu. Let's move on to bbc.com. Gunman kills 10 in Colorado market shooting. A police officer was among those killed in the attack in Boulder, for which a suspect has been detained. T20 spots can be won in ODIs, according to Morgan. That's some cricket there on the BBC. Children die in stampede as Tanzania mourns leader. That's BBC Africa. Check that out.
Why would anybody die because they're mourning their leader?
Well, the children died because obviously there was a stampede.
But this is
why would there be a stampede?
COVID-19 times. Yeah. And so, under COVID-19 restrictions, well, Tanzania says there's no COVID-19 there. But
exactly.
Anyway.
And so you remember that even during the rallies, we saw pictures of them standing very close together and not really observing COVID-19 protocols. So it's not surprising that in a time when social distance has become our way of life, something like this could happen. But our hearts go out to the parents of those children, and may their souls rest in peace. That's it for our online news review.
Right, so let's get into some of the stories this morning in Imwa. And starting off with a daily graphic that talks about Achimota School dreadlocks brouhaha, cut hair conform to rules, school authorities insist, and the debate over the admission of 2 students with dreadlocks to Achimota Senior High School reached another stage yesterday when the school stood its ground in asking the students to cut their dreadlocks before they will be enrolled. Now, at a meeting with the management of the Ghana Education Service, we're told that the headmistress of the school, Mrs. Marjorie Afeni, and the parents of one of the students in Accra The headmistress maintained that the students had not been denied admission to the school. Rather, the decision was for them to cut their dreadlocks in conformity with the school's rules. And the father of the student, that's Ras Aswad in Krabia, who sat in a meeting told the Daily Graphic that the headmistress insisted that the school would not bend its rules with respect to admission. And they say they're going to be going to court. So the father says he's going to look for, a school, as in he will look for another school for his ward, but will still pursue the case in court. There's been lots of talk about, Article 14 of our Constitution, and it talks about, everybody having personal liberties, unless in the following cases and through a procedure permitted by law. He says education or welfare of a child under the age of 18. So you ask that question, can the school be right in this instance? Based on what law is the school saying, we cannot allow you into the school unless you cut your hair? We'll get into all these issues this morning on the Super Morning Show. But in the meantime, you can definitely join us. Tell us what you make of all this. I mean, what do you think? Should children with dreadlocks be allowed secondary education, or they be made to cut their dreadlocks before going to school? Do you think they can just go to school without cutting their dreads? Or you think, like the Nagrat president, they should cut off their hair before they go to school?
Oh boy, I'm quite torn about it. I've been thinking about it, and it's difficult because you can argue both positions, and of course there's the opening of the floodgates, because yesterday we did talk about the hijab situation as well, which has come up, and basically even just beginning to question why children must cut their hair in the first place to enter into secondary school. It's a practice that's almost purely African or Ghanaian. I haven't really seen it anywhere else in the world. In all the countries that I've been to, haven't really seen children having to cut their hair just because they're going to boarding school. And so it definitely raises a lot of different issues about whether we're teaching our children how to live holistic, wholesome lives and manage their time effectively, or whether, of course, we're going to swing towards uniformity and say, well, let's just create an even playing field where the children are not concerned with all these things and can just focus on school. Of course, this Rastafarian issue has brought about, it has opened a can of worms, and Facebook is buzzing, but like you said, we will have that conversation later. But I just want to touch on the fact that I just wanted to touch on the fact that Prince Charles Dejo, you remember the guy who allegedly killed his wife by abusing her. Well, he has been denied bail, and the court that headed said that they do not have the power, or they're not in the jurisdiction to be able to decide whether to grant bail or not. So that has been put to the High Court, and the High Court is yet to hear the case. And we'll be watching that closely as we continue our conversations on abuse. But we're moving to the BBC News right now, and it's brought to you by Fidelity Bank, Believe With Us, and Providence Insurance Company Limited. With Providence, man, you are covered.
Do you know that thousands of Ghanaians lose their lives and get injured every year due to road accidents? Do you also know that wearing seatbelt and helmet helps reduce the risk of deaths and